It's 1945. Japan's expansion in the Pacific has ended, and Allied troops are advancing across the entire region. For 2 years, U.S. Admiral Chester Nimitz's island hopping plan has pushed American forces steadily closer to Japan. Only the islands of key strategic value are seized, while others are bypassed entirely. In November 1943, the Americans capture Tarawa, followed by the Marshall Islands in February 1944, and the Marianas that June. The brutal landing at Peleliu in September 1944 shows just how costly such battles can be. I'm Jesse Alexander, and welcome to a special real-time history episode, the Battle of Iwo Jima, Day by Day. The plan, the next target chosen by U.S. commanders, is the tiny island of Iwo Jima. Barely 7.2 kilometers long and up to 4 kilometers wide, it seems like a mere dot in the Pacific Ocean. But its position, halfway between Tokyo and the U.S. air bases in the Marianas, makes it a potential hub for B-29 bombers, escort fighters, and rescue aircraft. Importantly, Iwo Jima is part of Tokyo Prefecture, sovereign Japanese territory, and its loss would strike a major psychological blow. The V Amphibious Corps, made up of the 3rd, 4th, and 5th Marine Divisions, is assigned the invasion, named Operation Detachment. Around 100,000 troops and 700 ships are expected to take part in a battle the Americans believe will last no more than 10 days. Defending the island are 21,000 men of the Japanese 109th Infantry Division under Lieutenant General Kuribayashi Tadamichi. Having studied the carnage at Peleliu, Kuribayashi abandons beach defenses and suicidal banzai charges. Instead, he plans to let the Marines land, then wear them down through attrition, using 2 main defensive belts filled with tunnels, caves, and hidden pillboxes. His courageous battle vows instruct each soldier to kill 10 invaders. Day, February 19th. The U.S. bombardment begins 3 days before the landing, far shorter than the 10 days requested by General Harry Schmidt. At 9 a.m., the first wave of Marines hits 6 beaches and meets little resistance at first. Their biggest obstacle is a 4.5-meter wall of volcanic ash that traps vehicles and slows movement. As engineers clear paths, Kuribayashi unleashes his pre-sighted artillery, pounding the beaches with devastating accuracy. Machine guns from Mount Suribachi, the island's volcanic peak, rake the landing zones, while the most deadly fire comes from the quarry to the right flank. Before the battle, General Clifton Cates had warned, "You know, if I knew the name of the man on the extreme right of the right-hand squad of the right-hand company of the right-hand battalion, I'd recommend him for a medal before we go in." By late morning, the Marines have cleared paths inland and are threatening Airfield No. 1. The 28th Regiment moves to isolate Mount Suribachi, forming a fragile cordon. Colonel Harry Liversedge reports, troops ashore and moving to isolate Volcano. Resistance moderate but terrain awful. By nightfall, fighting slows, but only a third of the day's objectives are secured. D11, February 20th. The Marines take Airfield No. 1, but resistance hardens. In the east, they are pinned near the quarry, while the 28th struggles around Suribachi's fortified base of 70 bunkers. Kuribayashi urges his men on. Each man should think of his defense position as his graveyard. Fight until the last, and inflict much damage on the enemy. D+2, February 21st. Rain and wind now lash the island, grounding planes and flooding the beaches. Kamikazes sink an escort carrier offshore, while brutal, close combat rages ashore. Tanks help the Marines advance on the western flats, but the quarry remains a death trap. One 240-man company is reduced to just 18 survivors. In 3 days, U.S. losses reach 5,300, forcing commanders to commit the reserve 3rd Marines early. D+3, February 22nd. Conditions worsen as volcanic mud clings to boots and jams weapons. The 28th reports, "Bad weather and poor visibility hampered our operations. The rain mixed with volcanic dust caused stoppages in practically all automatic weapons, reducing them to single shot. Still, progress continues. The 28th begins climbing Suribachi, while elsewhere Marines assault Kuribayashi's main defense line. Japanese defenses Kuribayashi has turned Iwo Jima into a fortress of linked caves, tunnels, and bunkers. Some are simple rock nests for snipers. Others are vast, reinforced blockhouses. Japanese soldier Tsuji Akikusa recalls, The Southern Islands Naval Air Station bunker was the largest on the island, rumored to withstand 3 months of siege. About 800 people sheltered there, with 500 drums of oil, gasoline, and water. The final assault. The tunnel network allows Japanese troops to appear anywhere, often launching deadly night raids. U.S. forces respond with illumination shells to keep the island lit through the night. D+4, February 23rd. The 800-man garrison at Suribachi secretly withdraws north as the 28th launches its final assault. Meeting little resistance, Marines raise 2 American flags atop the summit, capturing one of the most iconic photos of the century. D+5, February 24th. But Suribachi's fall doesn't end the fight. U.S. troops now target Airfield No. 2, where mines and anti-tank guns halt armor. Infantrymen armed with grenades, rifles, and flamethrowers lead the advance. The Japanese cling to the northern defenses, and gains come mainly in the west. Though the 4th Marines clear the quarry, they soon encounter an even tougher stronghold. D+6, February 25th. In the east, the Marines enter the Meat Grinder, a fortified maze centered on Hill 382, Turkey Knob, and the amphitheater. Each position supports the others with overlapping fire. Progress is painfully slow, measured in 100-yard touchdowns. D+7, D+8, February 26-27. The 4th Marines continue battling the Meat Grinder, while other divisions struggle against similar strongpoints. By February 27th, U.S. forces consolidate their lines but still advance only in short bursts. Japanese soldiers fight to the last, forcing tanks to blast or crush cave positions. Survivor Okoshi Harunori remembers, "Even if you pretended to die and fell over, American tanks would drive over you. Soldiers hiding in foxholes were crushed as tanks rolled back and forth. If that happened, you'd gurgle until you died." Would you like me to continue the next section after D+8, the later stages of the battle and aftermath? Or do you want me to polish this rewritten section for video narration style, smoother flow and timing for voiceover? Shuzaihan, PP 132-3, D+9, February 28th. By February 28th, the day the U.S. command had expected the campaign to end, victory still appears far away. With the fighting in the east stalled, General Schmidt orders the 3rd Marine Division to advance through the center toward the coast, aiming to divide the last Japanese defensive zone. Backed by intense artillery and airstrikes, the Marines surge forward and capture the remains of Airfield No. 2, 8, D+10, March 1st. By the next morning, American troops threaten the unfinished Airfield No. 3, while on the western flank, the 5th Marines encounter fierce opposition at Nishi Ridge, 9, another fortified Japanese stronghold. In the east, Hill 382 is partly secured, 10, yet the defenders on Turkey Knob and in the amphitheater refuse to yield. As casualties rise and exhaustion sets in, many non-commissioned officers step up to lead, and in some cases, even privates take charge of their squads during the assaults. D+11, March 2nd. Just as the Americans gain ground in the east, their central push grinds to a halt. Japanese troops on Hills 362B, 11, and 362C, 12 stubbornly resist, turning the high ground into scenes of savage hand-to-hand combat. D+12, March 3rd. By D+12, a deadlock has formed. Marine losses are severe, 3,000 killed and 13,000 wounded. The Japanese, with 14,000 dead, have only about 7,000 men remaining. In the west, U.S. forces seize Nishi and Hill 362A, 13, fully surrounding the amphitheater, 14. The Marines also begin to notice deceptive enemy tactics. Japanese snipers dressed in Marine uniforms and armed with M1 rifles were encountered. The enemy was also discovered booby-trapping their dead. Allen 153, D+13, 14. March 4th, 5. Preparing for renewed attacks, Schmidt orders a 2-day pause to reorganize. With only limited local operations to straighten the front, fresh reinforcements arrive, though many are inexperienced. On Airfield No. 1, the damaged B-29 Dynamite makes an emergency landing, a first for Iwo Jima. WW2 March 6th. The next morning, a heavy U.S. artillery barrage precedes the assault, over 2,500 shells fired in the first hour. Yet despite the intensity, progress is minimal. Ferocious resistance limits Marine gains to just 5,100 meters across the island. 15. D+116, March 7th. By now, the Japanese have memorized the Marines' attack rhythm. Bombardment followed by infantry advance. To break the pattern, General Graves Erskine of the 3rd Division proposes a surprise dawn attack at 5 a.m. without artillery support. His troops will not strike directly forward, but into a Japanese sector facing the adjacent 4th Division. On March 7th, the plan succeeds. By day's end, the Americans take Hill 362C with 16. This success, however, creates an isolated resistance zone later named Cushman's Pocket, which holds out stubbornly. That same night, Captain Inoue Samaji defies Kuribayashi's orders and launches a 1,500-man banzai charge from Tachiwa Point, 17. Hoping to smash through U.S. lines, destroy supplies, and raise the Japanese flag over Suribachi, his men, some armed only with bamboo spears or explosive belts, are cut down by Marine fire. American losses are light, Dibu 1719, March 8-10. The failed Banzai attack marks the end of major organized resistance in the East. Over the next 3 days, the Marines bypass entrenched positions in Cushman's Pocket, 18, and finally subdue the Meat Grinder, 19. In the north, one U.S. patrol briefly reaches the coast before being forced back, 20. Kuribayashi, realizing the end is near, radios Tokyo. All surviving units have suffered heavy losses. I deeply regret allowing the enemy to seize part of Japanese soil, but take comfort in the damage we've inflicted. Allen 161, D+20, March 11th. By D+20, Japanese resistance remains in just 3 pockets: Cushman's Pocket, the eastern coast, and part of the northwest shore. Kuribayashi withdraws to a ravine later known as Bloody Gorge with his last 2,500 men, 21. The Marines, drained and suffering from what they call combat fatigue, now recognized as PTSD, appeal to the enemy to surrender, broadcasting that prisoners will be treated fairly and further resistance is pointless. They also spread a translated letter from captured soldier Momoda Hideo. Comrades, I never imagined things could be like this until I saw it myself. At first I felt ashamed to be taken prisoner, but when I learned that several officers shared my fate, I felt better. We agreed it is more honorable to live for the Emperor and rebuild Japan than to die like rats underground. Sandberg 114 Epilogue. Such appeals, however, achieve little. U.S. troops continue clearing the island, destroying all remaining strongholds except Bloody Gorge. Though Iwo Jima is officially declared secure on March 14th, Kuribayashi and his men hold out another 9 days inside an impenetrable bunker complex. Artillery is useless due to the risk of friendly fire, so Marines with flamethrowers, grenades, and demolition charges are sent in. On March 23rd, Kuribayashi sends his final message to the Japanese base on Chichijima. All officers and men of Chichijima, farewell from Iwo. Allen 217. His fate remains uncertain. He may have taken his own life or perished in the last desperate banzai charges. On March 26th, roughly 200-300 Japanese soldiers break out from Bloody Gorge and storm Airfield No. 2, killing airmen and construction workers before being annihilated. The battle is finally over. D+35. Marine casualties reach 23,000, including 6,800 dead, while the Navy suffers about 2,800 killed and wounded. Of 21,000 Japanese defenders, 19,000 are dead. Only 216 surrender, and small bands resist for months. Although Okinawa will later prove even bloodier, Iwo Jima remains the Marines' deadliest single engagement, the only Pacific battle where U.S. casualties exceed Japan's. Iwo Jima's legacy is complex. Army and Navy officials later argue the campaign offered little strategic value for its cost. Yet its intended purpose bears fruit. In the final months of the war, 2,251 B-29 bombers make emergency landings on Iwo Jima, saving roughly 24,000 American airmen. Sponsorship plus end card special, thanks to Mark Newton for assisting with this episode. We hope you enjoyed this experimental video format and our new map style. Techniques will expand in our upcoming series Napoleon's Downfall, covering the 1812 Russian campaign. Our work is possible thanks to the support of our patrons on Patreon. If you enjoy what we do, visit patreon.com, Real-Time History, to support the channel. I'm Jesse Alexander, and this is Real-Time History, the only history channel that can confirm turkeys don't actually have knobs, only a cloaca. Look it up.